Once Upon an Alphabet. Short stories for all the letters. And there they are. Well, some were covered up. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Bernard and Bob. If words make up stories and letters make up words, then stories are made of letters. In this menagerie, we have stories made of words made for all the letters. A, an astronaut. Edmund was an astronaut. For ages, he'd been training to go on an adventure up into space to meet some aliens. Although there was a problem. Space was about 328,416 feet above him. And Edmund had a fear of heights. Anything over 3 feet in the air was a bit much for him. He had a long way to go. Another 328,413 feet to be accurate. That's the end. It's a very short story. B, burning a bridge. Bernard and Bob lived on either side of a bridge, and for years they had been battling each other for reasons they couldn't remember. One day, Bob decided to fix things, so Bernard couldn't bother him anymore by burning the bridge between them. But Bob learned an important lesson that day. Oh boy, he needed to get the bridge back. Cup in the cupboard. There's tea in me. Cup lived in the cupboard. It was dark and cold in there when the door was closed. He dreamed of living over by the window where he'd have a clear view. One afternoon, he decided to go for it. Unfortunately, he forgot the counter was a long way down and made of concrete. D, Danger Delilah. Danger Delilah is a daredevil who laughs in the face of death and dances at the door of disaster. Nothing is too dangerous, and she fears no one. Except her dad when she's late for dinner. Delilah, if you're not home in 5 minutes, there'll be no dessert. Here she comes. An enigma. Oh, I like that word. E. How many elephants can fit inside an envelope? Turn to letter N to find out. Okay, fast forward to N. We'll come back to F, I guess. N. Nearly 9,000. I don't believe it. The answer to the enigma is nearly 9,000. Sort of. You could never actually fit an elephant inside an envelope, but you could fit nearly 9,000 envelopes inside an elephant. Then again, it depends on the size of the envelope, so never say never. F. Forever. Ferdinand was out walking his frog when he came upon a hole, a really big hole. In fact, it was the world's largest hole, and it went on forever. He dropped a penny in to see how long it would take to hit the bottom. Would you believe me if I told you it's still falling? That's because forever never ends. Oh boy. G, for guarding things. Whoa, stop there. Leopold Picard is a really great guard. He'll guard anything he is given, provided he is asked nicely enough. Good manners are very important, you know. This sign says, Glacier this way. And this says, none shall pass without asking nicely. His current assignment is a bit boring, though he doesn't mind. It's much better than his last one. Oof, okay. Would you rather guard a glacier or a gorilla? Half a house. Helen lived in half a house. The other house had fallen into the sea during a hurricane 1.5 years ago. Being lazy and not owning a hammer, she hadn't quite gotten around to fixing it, which was fine. Until the horrible day she rolled out the wrong side of her bed. I for the inventor. There once lived an ingenious inventor who invented many ingenious things. His latest invention allowed him to observe iguanas in their natural habitat. Incognito. J for jelly door. A jelly door, huh? You can do all sorts of things with jelly. You can eat it, you can throw it, you can make stuff out of it. That's what Jemima did. She made her front door out of jelly. That way, if she ever left home without her keys, she could just reach in and grab them. Of course, so could anyone else. Because of that, the jelly door never did catch on. But sure, who would be so foolish as to forget their keys in the first place? K for the king. The King of France went out for a dance and forgot to bring along keys. Don't forget. He got locked out and sat about all night with no sleep and no cheese. The lumberjack's light. Jack Stack, the lumberjack, has been struck by lightning 111 times in his life so far. What lousy luck, you might think. Well, the first few times were annoying, but he is actually beginning to like it now. For one thing, he is so live with electricity that he no longer needs to plug in his nightlight. M, made of matter. Mary is made of matter. So is her mother, and her mother's moose. In fact, matter makes up everything from magnets and maps to mountains and mattresses. Mary discovered all of this the marvelous day she got sucked through a microscope and became the size of a molecule. It's a minor miracle that they all made it back out of the microscope and are their normal size again. Whew. We already read N. O for onward. Out on the ocean, there is an owl who rides on the back of an octopus. They search for problems. They solve them. They move on. A puzzled parsnip. Parsnips aren't known for their intelligence, but this one was particularly daft. Are we carrots? No. Potatoes? No. What are we? Parsnips. Okay. Hey, did you know we're parsnips? You're not very smart, are you? Point proven. The Missing Question. This story is supposed to be about a question, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. Do you know where it is? Our robots don't like rain clouds. Robots don't like rain clouds, so they steal them from the sky, from everywhere and anywhere. That's why it's been so dry. I'm sure you have been wondering what's with all the dust. Well, robots don't like getting wet. They don't do well with rust. Sink or swim. This is a story of a regular cucumber who watched a program about sea cucumbers and thought it might be a better life for him. That very evening, the regular cucumber went to the shore, and taking a last look around, he plunged into the sea. However, never having tried before, he hadn't realized he couldn't swim and sank straight to the bottom. He has not been heard from since. But don't worry, the owl and the octopus are on their way. And they solve problems. The Terrible Typewriter. Not so long ago, and in a room not so far away, sat a typewriter and a terrified typist. You see, whatever was written on this particular typewriter, no matter how strange, had a terrible habit of coming true. It was only a few moments before this typist's story came to a tragic end. Oh dear. U for underground. Unfortunately, Nigel wasn't very good at climbing. The other monkeys laughed at him because he needed a ladder to get up the tree. This upset Nigel, so he used his ladder to move underground. Turns out being underground isn't so bad sometimes. There's our lumberjack friend. Victor the Vanquished. Victor was used to being victorious, but recently he was defeated and retreated into hiding under the stairs, where he now sits plotting his vengeance. One day they'll all be very sorry. W for Waraff. The ingenious inventor had a favorite invention of all, the Waraff. Waraff. It had the head of a whisk and the body of a giraffe. They became great friends over the years and enjoyed strawberries and whipped cream. Oh, there's the giraffe's head. The Waraff, of course, whipped the cream. The case of the missing X-ray spectacles. One terrible morning, Xavier woke to discover that his excellent pair of X-ray spectacles had been stolen. He knew exactly who to call. Hello, Owl. What the owl and the octopus knew that the burglar did not was that an extra pair existed. So the owl is using the X-ray glasses to look into the burglar's bag. Very clever. A yeti, a yak, and a yo-yo. Those are some fun Y words. A yeti up north bought a yo-yo of sorts from a yak only yesterday. But here's the thing. It didn't have a string, so this morning he threw it away. Oh no, a yo-yo without a string, that's a problem. Z for Zeppelin. Do not use indoors. Whoa, that's why. Edmund, the astronaut, has made some progress. He purchased a Zeppelin and now drives a steady 4 feet from the ground. Only 328,412 to go, Edmund. Good luck, Edmund.